You ever have one of those mornings where the universe just decides it's going to test how much nonsense you'll tolerate before you snap? Yeah, picture this. I'm standing in my kitchen, mid-bite on a piece of peanut butter toast, still in my bathrobe, sun streaming through the window, just soaking up that Saturday morning peace I'd spent years earning, and suddenly, I hear it. Metal on metal. My front door lock, rattling like a thief's been watching too many crime shows. Only when I peek around the corner, it's not some stranger, it's Gloria Powell, my HOA board president, out there on my porch like she owns the whole street, jiggling what's clearly a master key and muttering about an emergency inspection. Now, you gotta understand, Gloria isn't your run-of-the-mill nosy neighbor. She's a walking, talking power trip wrapped in a navy blazer, the kind of person who carries a clipboard like a knight wields a shield. She's marching up my walkway, chin high, eyes narrowed, like she's about to storm Normandy, not my little craftsman house. And when that key doesn't work because, let's be honest, I changed my locks years ago, she gives me this look, all righteous indignation, then whips out her phone and dials 911, telling the dispatcher there's a dangerous obstruction of authority in progress. Over breakfast. You ever get accused of a crime while eating toast? It'll do something to your blood pressure, let me tell you. 12 years I'd lived here, retired from teaching law, never had a single Saturday disturbed. Biggest drama was whether to use French press or drip. But now, Gloria's out there, waving her clipboard and brass key, claiming she's got emergency board powers that let her barge in wherever she pleases. No notice required, and if I don't step aside, she's gonna document everything for immediate legal review. I'm standing there, coffee cup halfway to my lips, thinking, lady, you're not the Lamy front door isn't the Normandy beach, and your master key is about as useful as a chocolate teapot. So, I do what any sane person with a modern home does. I fire up the security camera my son Jordan, bless his cop's heart, installed last Christmas. I flip on the intercom and, as calm as I can muster, remind her our HOA rules require 72-hour written notice for inspections, no such thing as emergency entry. She doesn't blink. Instead, she starts snapping photos of my house numbers, muttering about non-compliance evidence and immediate board review. That's when the neighbors start peeking out, some pretending to water plants, others flat out gawking. Gloria turns it up a notch for her audience, voice carrying like she's at a city council meeting. You're obstructing official business. Harold. That's me, by the way, and I won't tolerate this blatant disrespect for community leadership. Let me back up a sec. Me son, Jordan, he's a sheriff's deputy. He grew up hearing about property law and constitutional rights over Sunday dinner. And if there's one thing he taught me, it's that a clipboard isn't a badge and a brass key isn't a warrant. Still, Gloria's got herself convinced that, with enough bravado, the rules will just bend around her. She starts telling anyone who'll listen that she's acting under special municipal protocols, as if the city council just handed her a magic wand. Next thing I know, the police are on their way. Real police, not HOA board members with delusions of grandeur. Officer Miller shows up, young guy, sharp uniform, clipboard of his own. Gloria meets him like she's briefing the FBI, hands him her stack of official documents and that master key, making it sound like I'm harboring radioactive waste instead of, cinnamon rolls and a stack of library books. Miller does his best to look official, but I can see he's torn caught between a resident with a calm voice and documentation, and a board president acting like she's about to declare martial law. I explain the actual covenant, how it says nothing about emergency entry or instant inspections, and show him the 72-hour written notice clause, highlighted and tabbed so many times it looks like a college textbook. Gloria counters with vague references to public safety and municipal mandates, waving papers with lots of stamps and bold type, but, as it turns out, not a single actual statute. The best twist? Just as Miller is trying to figure out if this is a real emergency or a low-budget soap opera, his radio crackles. Unit 12. Sheriff Reed requests an update on the HOA situation. Gloria's face goes sheet white. See, what she doesn't know is Jordan Misoni's that Sheriff Reed, and he's already been looped in on her little power play. After about 20 minutes of Gloria trying to lawyer her way into my living room, Miller hands back her stack of paperwork with a polite but firm, "Ma'am, I see no authority here for emergency entry. I recommend you follow the standard procedures in your community documents." She's livid. The neighbors scatter, some relieved, some disappointed the neighborhood drama's over before brunch. You'd think that'd be the end of it, right? But nope. 3 days later, I get a manila envelope from the HOA certified mail. Signature required. Inside, a blizzard of penalty notices so creative they'd make Kafka proud. Obstruction of mandatory inspection, $85. Non-compliance with emergency protocols, $120. Interference with board duties, $60. Processing fees stacked up like a Las Vegas buffet. Gloria's turned my breakfast into a financial minefield. But here's the real kicker. By noon that day, 2 neighbors are on my porch, one clutching her own penalty notice. Turns out, Gloria's been running this racket across the whole street, charging people for everything from unapproved landscaping, she planted roses, to unauthorized fence painting. When people push back, she tacks on extra fees, threatens municipal involvement, and spooks folks into paying just to avoid hassle. Now, I might be retired, but I haven't forgotten how to build a case. We lay out all the notices across my dining table, mine, my neighbors, hers, even a few anonymously slipped under my door later that night. The pattern's clear. Gloria's making up violations, backdating meeting minutes, and using fake emergency procedures that never existed. The metadata on some of her documents shows they were created after the violations supposedly happened, just rewriting history to cover her tracks. One neighbor whispers, "She's not just bossish running a scam." Another adds, "She threatened me with property liens if I complained." You know what I mean when I say it starts to feel less like a neighborhood and more like a fiefdom? The more we dig, the more we see how Gloria's bullying people into submission, not just with paperwork, but with social pressure, too. Within a week, the rumors start at the coffee shop, the post office, people avoiding eye contact, acting like defending your rights is some kind of crime. Gloria's campaign shifts from penalty notices to character assassination. He's anti-community. He's trying to ruin the neighborhood. All that jazz. I go to grab my usual cup of coffee and the whole room goes quiet. Folks suddenly fascinated by their croissants. That's when it hits Mesh's not just abusing HOA power. She's turning the neighborhood against anyone who challenges her. But here's where things flip. One night, there's a knock at my door. No, not the police. This time it's a neighbor, envelope in hand. Inside are real meeting minutes, not the fakes Gloria's been distributing, and a handwritten note. Someone needs to stop this before it gets worse. Turns out, even her own board's got dissenters, people fed up with her bending the rules. Next HOA meeting, Gloria turns up the show slides, charts, horror stories about falling property values if we don't streamline enforcement. Code words for, "Give me more power." She tries to frame my stand as selfish anti-safety, says we need to bypass bureaucratic delays and let leadership act decisively. The crowd's with her until I plug in my laptop and throw the doorbell camera footage up on the big screen. The whole room sees her rattling my lock, barking into her phone. The whole act. I show the real HOA documents, the backdated minutes, the digital fingerprints on her faked violations. Then icing on the cake, neighbors start standing up, one by one, telling their own stories. She threatened to have my house condemned. She fined me for a fence she said was too blue. I paid over $800 in processing fees last year. That's when the dam breaks. People realize they've been played, and the room explodes, some shouting for the DA, some demanding police. Gloria tries to regain control, waving her brass key like it's Excalibur, insisting the real danger is people who won't fall in line. But the spell's broken, she's lost her audience. 2 days later, Gloria tries one last time. Shows up at my house, 2 nervous neighbors in tow, declares this is my final warning before higher authorities get involved. Calls 911 right there on the porch, but this time 2 police cars roll upon Officer Miller. The other is, you guessed it, my son, Sheriff Jordan Reed, in full uniform. Jordan steps out, badge gleaming, looks her dead in the eye and says, "Ma'am, our investigation has revealed systematic violations of state statutes. This ends today." The neighbors who came as her backup just drift away, realizing they've picked the wrong team. Gloria tries to bluster, threatening lawsuits, insisting she'll take it all the way to the Supreme Court if she has to. But it's over her authority, was never more than a brass key and a loud voice. The HOA board removes her, the penalties get voided, and she's left facing a real investigation for harassment, fraud, and misuse of police resources. And here's the part that sticks with May: put that brass key in a little shadow box, right next to my old law books. It's a reminder that real authority comes from the law, from people standing up together, not from whoever yells the loudest or carries the fanciest key. The neighborhood's still healing, sure, and some folks still whisper about whether I should have just let it go, but you know what? That's how bullies win, when we stay quiet, when we tell ourselves, it's not worth the trouble. So I'll ask you, what would you have done? Challenged her sooner? Or waited until she crossed your line? Drop your thoughts below. Let's hear where you stand on HOA power trips and standing up for your rights. And hey, if you made it this far, give this a share, hit the like, maybe subscribe. There's always another Gloria out there, so stay sharp, stay loud, and don't ever hand over your keys to someone who hasn't earned them.